Are we live?
Are we live?
We're live on everything.
We're live on everything.
We've got 3 screens going.
Woohoo! Hello Facebook. Hello Instagram. This is very exciting.
It is.
It?
This is our first one. What Wellness Wednesday.
What was that? 2 years ago?
Yeah, and we went live every Wednesday.
Hi guys.
Hello. This is very exciting.
Very exciting.
Yeah, we used to go live every Wednesday and talk about all things like health. Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, Wellness Wednesday.
Then we gave that up.
We did. But we decided to start doing lives again because we have some really cool things we want to talk about and we want to share with you guys. So I'm finding it hard to look where to look. There's a lot
I
of
think
screens.
I'm just like generally looking above everything.
Yes, just a general. For those of you who don't know, this is my beautiful friend Sarah Jane.
And this is Robyn.
Hi.
For my little social down there.
Yes.
But basically what we've done is create a Facebook group called Kicking Goals, and it's for women, and the reason that it was created was so that women had a way to connect with one another about all different things. So it could be health, money, career, and relationships, and we did a little poll in there just to see what everybody wanted us to chat about, and the first thing was business, which I found pretty interesting. I thought relationships might be the first one. Oh no.
But I think business is a good place to start because I think that's just a reflection of the people that we have in our circle. You know, we very much talk about business, I think, a lot in our personal lives. So that just is what you guys wanted. So we both have a heap of questions that we're going to try and get through. But if any of you have questions on live or on Facebook, just comment them and we will answer them as we go as well. Where's Lewis Mock-Up? He's at home. Maybe one day we will get him on the live, but he's not here today. He's probably watching at home. Is he on any of these? Maybe.
We'll see.
Very cute. All right, you go first, babe. What's the first question?
Okay, well, I think this is a good one. How do you decide what type of business to start? I mean, I guess obviously that depends on what you're interested in.
Yeah.
But type of business, maybe in the sense of, do you create a physical product? I was involved in network marketing for a long time, so do you go down that road? Do you create something online? What do you think, Rubino, while I try and figure out this situation here?
Number one, first thing before you even think about starting a business, and before you spend any money, before you buy a website, before you buy any physical products, start with what you like. Really get clear on what you're inspired by. Because something that I think both Sarah and I have seen in our social groups is people thinking that they like something, starting it, and as business goes, not everything takes time, right? Not everything kicks off in the first couple of months. So if you're not inspired by it in the beginning, then you're probably not going to see it through. So if there's one piece of advice I can give you guys about starting a business, make sure you really, really, really love it in the beginning.
And also that you're not doing it just because everyone else is doing it.
Yes.
Like that's a really big thing. You want to do it because that's what you want to do every single day, not just because that's what your partner's doing, not just because that's what you see on social media. And I think that's where people can get really stuck, is like spending like a couple of years going down a road that they're really not interested in, and then being so upset that like it's not working out. Oh, hey Lewis.
Oh, hey babe.
Oh no, it's failed to connect. Okay.
We'll go back.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. Okay, that's fine.
But yeah, because you definitely don't want to be in a position where 6 months down the time you've spent all this money on a website or you've bought products and you really work out that it's not something that you're really truly genuinely inspired by. So very first question would be find something that you're really inspired by first, and then step by step. Also, what I would say to that is spend zero money. Keep the cost low. You know, there's so many different ways that you can create income these days online without actually having to have any capital to begin with.
Or very little, you know, like maybe sometimes you'll have to pay something, but like you don't want to be going and spending like thousands of dollars on stuff that you don't need to in the beginning. And then, yeah, when you figure out what it is that you want to do, figure out the best business model to be able to do that, like your best avenue that obviously doesn't cost heaps, but is effective as well, and find people that are already doing that and kind of learn from them.
Yeah, and that's why I love working with Sarah, because Sarah definitely has more knowledge when it comes to having a physical business, having to call people and work with people intimately. And I've definitely had the other spectrum, which I don't talk to anyone physically. It's all through Skype and through a screen. So we've both had experience in all of those.
Like yeah. Cool. Do you want to ask one of
Yeah.
yours maybe?
So I reached out to some of my coaching girls. So if any of you girls are watching this later, hello, and thank you for sending your questions. Okay, so the first question from one of my girls is when to be a bitch and be a hard ass in business. So I think particularly for women, we are pictured to be super nice and always really lovely, and particularly in business, everything, we're the friendly ones. But it's important to realize, and particularly women, if you're listening to this and you find it hard to be a bit of a hard ass in your business, it's okay. There are times in business where you have to draw the line and you have to be a bit of a bitch. In terms of sticking up for your business, in terms of taking control of your business. And I brought along a little prop. I literally have this post-it note on my desk at my computer every single day. It says, I will win, I will hunt, outrun, and kill anyone who comes between me and my business. If you don't have that mentality in your business, and you don't have that certainty that you are going to do everything and anything for your business, you're not going to succeed.
Yeah. And I mean, I think also that in like your career as well, like say you have a job and you don't have, because not everyone's going to have a business, but if you're just working in I'm just
Rearranging.
poking you. If you're working in a job, like you want to value yourself as well. And I read this article by, who's that chick in Grey's Anatomy, that blonde? Anyone, comment if you know who
Ellen Pompey?
Yeah. She wrote an article for Forbes, I think, because she's like the highest paid daytime person.
Yeah.
I think.
20 mil or something?
I don't know, but it's a lot. And everyone was like, how did she get that? Like, how did she earn, that much? And she wrote this huge, big article and was like, women just don't ask for it. Like, they just sit and wait until somebody is going to be like, here's extra money, or like, here's extra income. But no employer, especially, is going to be like, here, like, we want to give you all this extra money. And if you have that, that's fantastic.
Very rare.
But it's really rare. So you have to be able to know what you're worth. And that's not being a bitch. That's just like making sure you're getting what you're worth and the effort that you're putting into it. So yeah, I thought that was really interesting. And that applies to business as well. Like you don't want to be undercutting your services just because you think, people aren't going to pay for it or whatever. You want to make sure that you're earning what you're worth and what you're
100%.
giving.
And and I definitely don't mean bitch in a bad way. I think you can be a badass bitch and be a good way. So definitely don't get that confused. But I think women in particular, you have to stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the people that you're working with, whether it's a business or whether it's your career,
and guys as well.
100%.
Like a lot
All
of
you
guys. Yeah, a lot of guys are nervous to ask or nervous to stand up for yourself. So just got to do it,
Next question.
Okay. All right. So one thing that I have seen just personally, in particular working in network marketing, and I'd be really interested to see other people who have their own businesses or their own experiences, but I think especially when you're getting something started initially, you would be working a normal job, like a 9-to-5 job, and then creating your business on the side, which is the smartest way to go about it. You don't want to be just like going like balls deep straight away. But I've seen, and I have done this personally, and I have seen it as well, that people just don't treat it like a business. Like they treat it like a hobby where they're putting in all this money and expecting all this stuff to happen, and they don't don't treat it seriously. So they're not doing the numbers on like how much they're spending versus how much they're earning. And then you kind of get carried away in this fantasy that everything's going to happen for you, and it doesn't. So yeah, I think just like treat your business like an actual business, you know, like even especially if it's online, you want to treat it like a shop front, you know, that like your expenses and how much your income is and all of that sort of stuff. So I think that's another point there.
I think that ties well with the first two questions as well. You know, if you're really, firstly, if you are taking the actions and you've made the decision in your mind to start a business, then you have to do that already, right? Like if you're not going to do it seriously and you're not going to do it with, you know, full enthusiasm, then why are you starting it? So you have to be really inspired about what you're doing to begin with. And then secondly, you have to be a hard ass. You have to be really serious about what you're doing. And I don't mean that like, oh, you need to go to get a business degree or you need to go learn about business, you know, things like that.
I think a lot of it's common sense.
It is. Yeah. It's just common sense. It's just taking it one step at a time and really working out what daily actions can you do to move this business forward would be my best advice. But yeah, I think if you're starting a business, you have to think seriously about it in the beginning.
From the get-go, Don't just think it's gonna like come to you. Yeah.
Because it won't.
Yeah.
All right, question 4? One of them. Okay, how do you keep inspired when the business takes time? So I mean, another really good question. Again, I think this just comes back to originally you have to be really inspired in the mission to begin with, because if you're not inspired to go through the dirt, I think Gary Vee talks about it, the clouds and the dirt. If you're not inspired to go through the dirt, then you're never going to get to the clouds, right? So if you're not willing to get into the mud and really work hard in your business when it's making no money, when you're in the minuses currently, you know, when you're making no money or you're still, you know, haven't got your first sale yet, that's the time when you have to be your most invested in your business.
I mean, that's also the time where you learn the most too. Like,
100%.
You're never going to learn any new skills if everything just goes great straight away. Like you learn the most, and you learn what not to do by making the mistakes and things being hard and kind of like grinding through it, I guess. But, and I think also like surrounding yourself with people who are going through it too. Also, like, you know, if you have a group of friends and you're really trying to start a business and you can't relate with anyone, then that's hard too, because you feel like you're doing it by yourself. But if you do have friends that are starting their own business or going through like, you know, those initial steps, then that really helps as well.
I have a question for you, Sarah Jane.
Oh, tell me.
When is one time in your business that you really struggled to keep motivated, but you pushed through? And what helped you push through?
Yeah, definitely having other people around me that are going through the same thing. And yeah, it's hard because, I mean, we obviously stopped our business, which might even be another question, like, well, how do you know when the right time is to stop?
Yeah, that's a great question. It is. It's a great question.
Because, like, I mean, obviously, when you start a business, you're like, this is it. This is what I'm going to do forever. Like, and you're so emotionally invested in it. So when you decide to stop, then I think it was really just, it was actually my dad. He was literally like, what the fuck are you doing? This isn't, you know, you're not where you want to be yet. So like, why is that? And he was like, that's fine if it's taking longer and, you know, this is something that you really want to do, then just keep going. But I was like, yeah, this really isn't. Like, if I really kind of delve deep, I was like, this isn't what I want to do. And that's when we were just like, fuck, like, you know, and then that's a whole other range of emotions, like letting go, because we had our business for 5 years, so it was like that's a good chunk of time to be like invested, you know, every single day. But yeah, being around people that are going through the same thing, and I guess just having that end goal always in mind, like visualizing that. We had it everywhere, like, you know, posters and stuff of like our goals, you know, how much we wanted to be earning, all of that sort of stuff.
Your whole office.
Yeah, our whole office had like, you know, things that we visualized, pictures, like, and a lot of it does come true when you put it up on the wall.
100%. For me, my hardest time with business was when I worked with my friend. I had a girl that was a close friend of mine that worked really closely in my business, and I had invested a lot in her, and a lot, like very much thought that she was in it with me and was 100% committed to the cause. And you know, she wasn't. She was invested in her own values and in her own thing. And so that was a really, really big lesson for me. And it was kind of like, you know, similar to you letting go of Herbs. It was a grieving process, you know, having her leave my business and not work for me anymore. Oh, it was devastating. And it really took me some time to build myself back up and do it on my own again, and feel confident on my own. So yeah, it definitely takes time to go through those things. But one thing I will say is that if I hadn't had that experience, then I wouldn't have learned the lessons that I learned and been bigger and stronger and had a clearer mission of where I was meant to go. So,
and what lessons did you learn?
My biggest lesson was never depend on anyone. So even if you have a business partner, or even if you have, you know, 5 people working for you that you think are 100% working for you and are true to the mission, never depend on anyone. People are only dependent on their own values and their own values alone. So no one's 100% going to be on your team unless...
Other than you.
Exactly. And that's exactly it. No one's on your team except for yourself. So the biggest thing that I learned out of that was I had to be on my team. I had to be my number one person. And at that point in my business, I was depending too much on her. And that's why the universe attracted her leaving my company, because I needed to grow up and I needed to take control of things again.
And not pay everything up front.
Oh yeah, don't do that. That's true. Again, spend 0 money in the get-go is the recommendation. Literally, just don't do that. Yeah. Another question?
Hello, pajama bosses.
Oh, hey.
And Kaysen, hello. Okay, so I'll ask you, Robyn, what about, like, I have had a lot in my family, and I don't know whether, like, you have had this as well, but women relying a lot on men for money, and not, I guess, having their own money. So, like, say, for instance, like, my nana, like, I don't know if this is, like, a generational thing, but, like, my mum's mum relied solely on my grandpa for money, and then he left her with, like, 5 kids, and she was, hello, Rafi. And then she was, like, had no money, had no skills, like, didn't go to uni, didn't do anything, had never had a job. So, like, what are your thoughts on that?
Great question. I think male or female, you have to be independent. And independent in terms of, like, for example, you might be the mom and you might have to stay at home with the children. But if you don't know how much that is worth for your family dynamic, and you create a fair exchange system with your partner, then you're going to constantly feel like you're dependent on your husband or significant other, right? So it doesn't matter whether you're the male or you're the female in the relationship, you have to create your own fair exchange and your own independence. So I think a lot of people assume that Lewis is, you know, I'm a gold digger. I think I've been told that a lot.
A
few times. Which we always laugh at, you know, we always find it really humorous because they just have no idea about our relationship. But there are going to be certain areas in every relationship where one person is really strong in one area and one person is really strong in another area. So I think no matter what type of relationship you have to create a balance of both of you having your own income, your own value to the relationship, so you're both independently fair.
And also just having your shit together enough that if it doesn't work out, you can, like, bail out of there and everything's fine, you know? Like, I mean, not everything's fine, but, like, you can go and do your own thing. Like, I think that would just be the worst feeling, like, being in a relationship and just not having enough money that you could be like, okay, I can leave now. Like, yeah, no, that would be horrible. But we were actually talking about this earlier this morning with some really good friends, just about, like, that shift. So he started his own business, which was going to take time to build up, and his partner was, like, I guess, paying the mortgage and the bills and things. No, that she was like, I'll pay the mortgage if you pay the bills, and the bills were a little bit less than what the mortgage was, but so she was happy to, like, kind of cover that until he got the business started. And then now it's different. Like, he's built up the business where she can now quit her job and go and chase her dreams and start her own business, and he's got that covered. So it's interesting how, like, yeah, the dynamic sort of changes there. So I don't even know why I said that, but you know, we were just talking about it.
Yeah, I think I know we've gone off a bit, like we're talking a little bit more about relationships now, but one thing that I love that Dr. John DeMartini says is relationships are a business. You have to think of them a little bit like a business and be a little bit mechanical. And I know even you and Julian have recently done your fair exchange, you know, and get down on paper and really sit down with it and list out financially what are each of you bringing to relationship and how is it even, how is it equal. And I think both of you will get a lot of independence and a lot of clarity out of that.
And it saves like the we did this the other night, and I guess like a lot of people can assume that it's like it's definitely not romantic.
No, it's
and
not.
It's very unemotional.
You have to be.
But like it saves, like for me in the past, like Julian, my partner, has been like the breadwinner. Like he has been bringing in the money and like paid for all our bills and things like that. Whereas now, I guess it's kind of not shifted a little bit, but now I earn a little bit more than him, but then I also still do everything around the house. And so the other night I was like, we need to sit down because I'm working my ass off here and I'm doing everything. And he was like, I do things around the house. I'm like, what do you do? He's like, I take the bins out and I pack the dishwasher. And I was like, well, let me show you mine. And it was just like all these things. And so yeah, it saves the resentment of like me coming home from work doing all these things, then him coming home from work and just like chilling out and having dinner, and then me in the back of my mind being like, I'm doing everything here. But yeah, so it kind of like just evens that out so that, you know, you're all kind of like working together.
Yeah, that actually works in well with one of my other questions I had, which is business partners, yes or no to have a business partner or not. I think it depends. I think if you have a business that you need somebody else, or if you're close friends and you both want to work on something together, I think that's great. Again, I think a fair exchange calculator. I think you both need to sit down and work out exactly what are you going to do for the business and what is the other person going to do for the business. Because what will happen, and as we have seen in our own businesses and friends who have business partners, you will accrue resentment when one person starts doing a little bit less and then the other one starts doing a little bit more. So you just want to remove that whole resentment and underdog versus overdog sort of relationship. You just want to get clear straight up who's doing what, who's creating what sort of, and who's going to spend more time on this, who's going to spend more time on that, so that you don't have to have any of that, those awkward conversations with teen business partners.
Yeah.
Hey.
And also, like, again, being realistic and having your shit together, like what do we do if this doesn't work out? Like how do we separate if this doesn't work out, rather than just assuming that it's gonna be like, you know, rainbows and fairies forever. Like just have a plan and have something in writing, obviously, but having a good idea of how you're gonna actually get out of that.
And like you said before, you know, not treating it like a hobby. If you're really, I think it comes back to, if you really believe in this business, then you believe it's going to make $1 million. You know, you believe that you're going to get to the end. You're going to get to have millions of people working for you, or millions of people, you know, serving you, however, whatever capacity you want your business to be. So then you would be thinking that from the get-go. Okay, well, we need to have a plan if anything goes haywire. Even if you sold the business, how are we going to divvy this up? What percentages are whose? So thinking of the business from the get-go, not just a hobby.
Yeah, and having like, especially if it's a friend or a family member as well.
I would recommend not working with friends and family.
Especially family.
Yeah, just don't do it.
No, like I don't know what I was going to say then.
Sorry.
That's fine. It wasn't that important, obviously.
If you're going to work with friends and family, my one piece of advice with that would be realize that friends and family is one side.
Yes.
And
that's what I was going to say. Have like a work hat and like a friendship hat that you can like walk into a conversation being like, I'm just coming from this from like a work perspective, or I'm coming from this like from a friendship perspective. Like, I don't want to talk about work, you know? So, like, having the difference between the two.
So a good example of that is a lady who I've been coaching with. She has a business with her sister. And if you're watching this, hi. She has a business with her sister, and she realized that her sister was doing some dodgy things. And so she had to have this conversation with her sister. And it was a hard conversation to have. Any business partner, that's a hard conversation to have. But I think because it was her sister, and she'd thought that her sister, being her family member, would never, you know, do these dodgy things, but had to have the hard conversation with her. And that's what we mean by, you know, if you're going to do any sort of business with a friend or a family, both of you need to realize from the beginning that there's going to be times when you have to talk business, and it's not personal, you know, it's just the work. You just have to talk about it.
Yep. Is that your last one?
I have one more.
Okay. Okay, I had two, which I guess we can like talk, and they're not really about business, but that's fine. What gets you fired up every day, and how do you start your day? So what gets you fired up every day, Robyn?
What gets me fired up?
I guess in relation to business? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess in day to day, because my whole entire day, we're both working. So for me, what gets me fired up is my coaching clients. You know, waking up, that's the first thing I do in the morning. I wake up at 5 a.m. every single morning. So I think that was your other question.
Oh, yeah,
how do you start your day?
Yeah.
My alarm goes off at 5 o'clock. Not gonna lie, sometimes it's 5:10 by the time I get out of bed.
You get up very early.
I do get very up early.
Yeah.
But it's nice now because the sun is up. But yeah. I get up at 5. The first thing I do on my phone is I check I can't use my phone because I'm using it for this. I check my Slack channel. So my Slack community is where I have all my coaching girls in there. Currently, I do guys as well, but currently I'm coaching all girls. Funnily as that is.
You do guys as well?
I do guys as well.
Oh yeah.
Anyway.
This took a turn, didn't it?
It's all good. It's all good. But yeah, I check what they have because all the people that I coach at the moment are currently in the US and in the UK. So they send me a lot of stuff while I'm asleep. So the first thing I do that gets me inspired and pumped up in the morning is checking what they're doing. And particularly two of them, they're in the beginning of starting their business. So it's really exciting for me to wake up and they were telling me, oh, we did this, or we set this Facebook ad today, or we got this client. That's the most inspiring thing for me, is to see their businesses grow and to see them get excited about it. So my time between 5 a.m. and about 5:45 is working on my own business, and then both of us go to F45.
Do a little workout.
Yeah. What about you, babe? What gets you up?
I don't know. I was really thinking about this. So like, Julian and I are very different. Like, it takes him ages to like get up, whereas as soon as I'm awake, I'm awake. Like, I can't just kind of like snooze or like, I don't know. I've just always been like that. So for me, it's very easy to like get up out of bed, and I don't know what that, like, I can't be like, oh, I get up because of it. Like, I just always wake up like that. But I don't have a business at the moment, so I'm not like, in terms of what gets me fired up for my business, there isn't anything just yet. But what gets me fired up? I don't know. I do love working out in the morning. That's my favorite thing to do.
She's always there before me, 100%. Yes. I try to beat her some days. I'm like, am I going to get there before her? No, she's always there.
I like to be early. But yeah, I love working. I love starting my day like that, just to get the endorphins going. It gets me fired up for the day. So I think that would probably be my thing. Yeah.
Cool.
What was your last one?
I had one more question. How do you manage it all? Being a mum, working, and business. I'm not a mum.
We're not mums. I have a dog.
You're a fur mum. You have a puppy. But I mean, managing it all. I think that's a really good question, because I think a lot of the people who are watching this and who are in the Kicking Goals Facebook community that Sarah has started, also a little shout out to the group on my social. If you're not in the Kicking Goals group yet, it's free to join. It's a completely free Facebook group. Just swing us a direct message or comment below if you want to join, and we will add you to the group later.
Hey, Steph.
But yeah, I think a lot of people who are starting businesses also work full-time jobs potentially, or are mums at home that want to, do a little bit more with their time. The number one thing that I would say there is you have to get really strict with managing your time. So if you are a mum and you have a certain amount of hours where you have to look after the children, and then your husband or somebody else takes the kids, or they go to daycare for a certain amount of time, and you have a couple of hours off, it's go time. There's no Netflix, there's no cleaning the house. if you're serious about your business, you will dedicate that time
Yeah.
to your business and you will work in it in that time.
And I think like one of the things that like I've seen a lot in the past is like I don't understand because I don't have a kid, but I can imagine that like it's not consistent every day. Like you can't be like, oh, from 10 till 12 I'm going to be doing this every single day. But also remember, like, there are a lot of really successful mums out there
100%.
that are like, you know, bossing it. So obviously there is a way to do it, but
Yeah.
you just got to figure it out.
And with that, again, we're not mums, but if you, again, there's a lot of mums out there. Go find them.
There are a lot of mums
there's
out
a lot of
there.
mums. We have mums. We came from a mum. But if there are particular mums that you're inspired by who have a
Yeah.
business, never be afraid to reach out to them. Ask them, how did you do it when you had a little one? Or, you know, single mums. Ask them, how did you manage it? Did you have to stay up until midnight? Did you have to wake up early, you know,
Yeah.
5 a.m. just for that extra 45 minutes before your baby woke up? I don't know. I'm not a mum. I don't know what time kids wake up.
I think getting, yes, Rafi, I think getting up early would probably be the best thing, like before they wake up.
Yeah.
Because then, you know, you're guaranteed to be like alone rather than trying to do it while they're awake. But also the other thing with that is like by like being able to manage it all, I guess roles, if we're talking about like female roles have changed so much. Like it's not, you know, the male isn't always the provider, and you know the female doesn't always stay at home, whereas now it's like we work, we have babies, like you keep the house together,
we do it all.
I don't know, you just sort of like fit it. Even Julian was like, how do you do all this? Like when we did like our list, he's like, where are you fitting all this in? I'm like, I deserve a medal. That's what.
And that's just not that. There's single dads out there as well.
Yes, of course, yeah.
But also, I want to touch on if you have a 9-to-5 job and you're trying to do a business and you don't know, like, when do you do it? I think that's a really common sort of question for people who are wanting to start their own business. How are they going to do it when they have their job? And again, you just have to make the time. And I know that's really hard for a lot of people who work late. You know, you might have to wake up at 6 a.m. and then you don't get home till it's dark, you know, 6 or 7 o'clock at night. But even if it's 1 hour a day, that's 7 to 8 time. Even if you, for example, don't go to gym, you know, you sacrifice going to gym in the normal times that you would for at least 6 months, you have to make the time because
Or
nobody's
social
going to make the
stuff.
time.
Yeah.
Social stuff. Yeah.
Like have a look in your week. Like how much time do you how much time do you spend watching TV?
Yeah.
How much time do you spend catching up with friends? Like you just figure it out and just kind of sacrifice a little bit to be able to get it done.
100%. So what I would wrap that question up with is that nobody's going to spend as much time and as much effort and as much love in your business as you are going to. Even if you have a business partner, you need to be the one that's going to keep it driving. So if you don't have the inspiration at the beginning, you know, those first few questions that we talked about, how do you start a business? How do you think of the idea? Just find something that you're inspired by and stick with it.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Let us know, guys. Send us a message or comment below if you enjoyed this. If you guys have any feedback or questions, we are going to try this every week. Is that right?
Yeah. So, and how does Sunday afternoons? We did a poll in the community and this Sunday afternoons won. And that's a fine time for us too.
Maybe not today. I think people might be drinking today. It's a public holiday tomorrow.
Is it the footy final too? Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't watch sport.
Maybe I think that was yesterday.
Oh, okay. But
anyway, again, if any gals out there want to join the Kicking Goals Facebook group, the link is in my bio. But if you Robyn,
just direct message me.
If you're message Robyn, she can add you in or send you the link. But yeah, hope you guys have an awesome afternoon and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, thanks guys. If you have any questions from today as well, just swing us a direct message. If you're struggling in your business or you're not sure how to get started, we're here to help. You know, we said before, reach out to people. Definitely don't be afraid to reach out to people doing it because we're all on the same journey. We're all going through stuff as well.
The league final today. It's today, okay?
Thanks, Steph. All right, guys.
Awesome.
We will see you next week.
Bye!
Now, how do I turn a live